Hello, limitless minds. You know, a few years ago, as a public speaker, I could count on my fingers the number of relevant business events in Romania and their location. It was Bucharest, it was Cluj, it was Iași, sometimes Timișoara. But now, through Limitless, we have Târgu-Mureș, which is rightfully taking its place on an important map of relevant events for technology professionals and beyond. So before I will delve further into the exploration of leadership, I just want to express my gratitude for the richness of the audience here today, from young students at the beginning of their careers, young professionals, seasoned leaders, which came together with their families. There are some babies there upstairs. I think it's an inspiring way to spend your Saturday, so I think you deserve some applause, and also the organizers. I don't know if you are impressed yet, but I am. So, very nice presentation so far. When we wake up in the morning, we don't look in the mirror and ask ourselves if we are good leaders, right? But don't worry, our customers, our partners, our colleagues, they already know the answer. In my 27 years of professional experience, I've met professionals who believed about themselves that they are strong leaders. But in fact, they were just good managers. They executed some strategies. I've met managers who believed about themselves that they are very good managers, but in fact, they were really authentic leaders because they were able to express their vision to inspire their team members. And unfortunately, I've met professionals with very bold titles on their business cards, you know, leaders, head of, but unfortunately, they were not managers or leaders. The other day, you know, I used to work with a gaming company, and I was surprised because I've met leaders without a title. Leaders who were able, you know, to bring the team together and to manage to develop each team member and to focus on the outcome, right? Not on the personal success, not on titles. And this is something new. So many times I'm asked by various interviewers, okay, what's the difference between leaders and managers? And usually I don't like to give answers from books. I just want to give you a visual metaphor from extreme sports. So, like this person here, the leader has in front of him a vision and behind a strong team. Usually, the manager will execute the strategies which will make the vision to be transformed into reality. The leader will challenge the status quo, while the managers will like the stability because they are in charge of delivering results. The leaders will inspire their team members, while the managers will wait to be inspired. The leader will motivate the team, while the manager will wait to be motivated. And, you know, in tough situations, because now these days we face a lot of adversity, of technology changes, when the avalanche will come, no matter which is the name of that avalanche, might be the economic crisis, might be a war, might be disturbance, technology advancement, the true leader will know how to pass the test of time, taking the right decision, bringing the right brains at the decision-making table, and they will succeed, right? But even so, why leaders fail, right? I don't know if you remember this ship, Costa Concordia. It was a few years ago when it was a famous case. I used to be on that ship at one point, and it's famous because the captain, Szczecino, which is the leader of a team, a big team, 3,000 customers plus 1,000 team members, he took some wrong decisions, right? So the boat was sank near to Giglio Island in Italy, and he was the first who left the big ship, right? And in leadership, we don't do that. We don't leave anyone behind. So I used to call this slide the slide of the death companies because you might remember, or you might be too young to remember those brands. Do you remember them? I still remember my first BlackBerry phone when I was able to read my emails on my BlackBerry phone. I still remember my first Nokia phone, you know. It was heavy, 2010, I think. It was the name of the brand, the model. But they made history in their field. Kodak, you know, you remember, it was the champion in the photography industry. But they were not able to adjust to technology advancement, and they filed for bankruptcy in 2012. Of course, BlackBerry, they couldn't keep the pace with the smartphone's evolution, and they decided to change their strategy, and they left their phone division for other lines of business. And Nokia, I still remember the CEO of Nokia crying in a conference when they had to announce their actually, they've been acquired by Microsoft, but they failed. Why they failed? They failed because they missed to change. They missed to adapt to the new reality. They thought that they will be number one forever. And when you, as a leader, believe that you will stay there forever, you are wrong. Because you need constant efforts and agility, you know, to be number one. So they failed, they lost the chance to survive. So let's see some cases where the leaders fail, and how can we prevent this in our own activity, right? No matter if you are already a leader, a manager, or do you aspire to a management position, or in personal leadership, managing our own lives. So I always say that the blind cannot lead the blind, right? So I've met so many leaders unable to articulate their vision. So it's important to show your team the destination. Now we are in point A, so how point B would look like, or even further, right? If we need to describe our team the destination, how this will look like. A good friend of mine who likes sailing, he said, if you want your team to navigate successfully, you don't give them materials to make a boat, right? You make them being in love about being on the sea. You need to make them to dream about how it is to sail together on that sea. So it's very important to be able to show what's the destination. Otherwise, they will just execute. They will not see the bigger picture. And it will be so hard to find motivation when you don't see the big picture, right? In leadership, these days, we cannot speak anymore about autocratic leadership. But when I became manager in my first managerial role, I remember that we didn't have models in Romania, true leadership models. I remember the managers we had, we called them bosses, right? Because they used to say, I hire you, I fire you. And no matter what you will say at the decision-making table, I will have the last word. I don't know if you still have this type of managers. I think they are outdated, but that style is gone. You cannot be successful, especially in technology industry, with this type of leadership. Servant leadership, it's the new trend. What does it mean? Means, you know, to put your energy and knowledge and everything you accumulated as a professional serving your team, asking them, how can I serve you better, right? Building influence, not with a title, without a title, right? Giving with generosity from what you have accumulated so far as a professional. So, the previous speakers mentioned about MoMA. Every year I go to New York and I cannot miss MoMA, Museum of Modern Art in New York. And there is a big room with Brâncuș artworks. And I remember a story, you know, he wanted to become apprenticeship to Auguste Rodin in Paris and he didn't have money. And it took him 6 months to reach the destination. And when he finally have been admitted as apprentice to Auguste Rodin, he left after 2 months. And his friends said, why? They were puzzled. And the answer he gave them sticks with me forever. He said, you know, at the shadow of an old tree, nothing can grow. And I've met leaders, unable to grow, to nurture talents, to develop their team members, to accelerate their development. So don't be that type of manager or leader, because you need to be surrounded by beautiful minds, able to express with freedom their ideas, because that will make your decision process more efficient. So another mistake, it happened to me. At one point, I realized that I didn't enjoy my role anymore. And without realizing it, I became toxic. And sometimes when you don't enjoy what you do, and you are a manager or a leader, you will become toxic for your team members, and toxicity in leadership is contagious. So don't ask yourself why your team is not motivated, because look in the mirror first. So ask yourself some questions, some serious questions, which will require an honest answer. And if you need to do a lateral move or to leave, do it, because you will harm your team otherwise. So there are many leaders who are saying, we implemented this hybrid work model in our team, right? Just to give you an example. And we've noticed that our employees are not coming in the office Mondays and Fridays. And we wonder why. And I ask, okay, but are you attending office conferences in the office Mondays and Fridays? And they say no. Because sometimes when we want to plant the seeds for new behaviors, new actions, we need to act through the power of our own example, right? We are the example. They look at us. So I don't know if you already manage a team or coordinate a team. No? Think about this. You are sometimes the first manager in someone's life, right? And remember how was your first manager? How your first manager influenced your future decisions, your future career, your future leadership style. You are a model, you like it or not, right? So act through the power of your personal example. Do the talk. And of course, when I discuss with various senior leadership teams and discuss about development programs, I met from time to time senior professionals who are saying, but I don't need to learn that. I have 20 years of professional experience. I don't need to know about this. But when you are saying to yourself, I know all, I can guarantee you are on your safe journey to mediocrity. I can guarantee you. So in this world where everything is moving faster than ever, we need to learn. We need to maintain our curiosity. We need to look at the world with the eyes of a child, and always to bring something new or to adapt to new knowledge. And better coming from technology companies. So growth mindset. And now when we are talking about leadership failure, we are not thinking also at crisis generated by natural disasters. We have also cybersecurity threats, right? So natural disasters, bad leadership, for example, British Petroleum, I don't know if you remember, they had a major oil spill in Gulf of Mexico. And they were unable to communicate with transparency. They received a lot of accusations. It was a major environmental disaster. And they had to face a lot of penalties. Poor leadership. Equifax, credit report agency, in 2017, in July, they discovered a major data breach. 147 million of American private information have been exposed, but they announced this only in September, and they've been accused of lack of transparency, bad decisions, and they face a lot of lawsuits, and they had to pay hundreds of millions damages. So poor leadership, no matter of your company performance, if in a crisis situation, the decisions are not the right ones, the company reputation will suffer, and this means a bigger impact. Now, There is something else that we don't discuss as leaders, usually in the business environment, especially in the corporate one. It's about our vulnerability, about our emotions, about our stress level, about our frustrations. Usually, when we are there in the meeting rooms with other leaders, other managers, team members, we show only what is above the water, right? Our nice figure, right? But what is, below our emotions, our stress level, our frustration, we don't share this. So when we are more stressed than we realize it, somehow we might not be in balance, so we might not take the right decisions. So when you realize that you are stressed, you are frustrated, and you are operating in a compromise zone, maybe you'll do a step, and you will search to see exactly how are you feeling and what can you do to be in a balanced position, because otherwise it will not be good for you. For me, leadership, it's like this rafting team. And leadership is the compass, right? While the unifying team effort, it's the paddle, right? So sometimes some individuals in team, they think that they can succeed, without the team effort, and they put the individual success above all of them. But at one point they will fail, because it's the team effort who matters. And in team effort, in this type of effort, when the roaring river, it's the changes that we face daily on our business environment, we rise together, we fail together, and we celebrate our victories together. And we have competition, and we need to take timely decisions to be better than competition. And sometimes we may partner with our competition to bring more value to our customers, and this means competition, right? And we need to navigate with agility through this river, as we do, in our business environment, because otherwise we may lose opportunity. We might not be number one, but we may find new ways to generate more value to our customers and to our partners. And if you pay attention, can you spot the leader in this rafting boat? That's the idea. So now that I spoke a little bit about leadership and how we can prevent failures, let's go further and to see, okay, how can we step into the powerful you? What does it mean? For the young people here, this means that you own your career and you are responsible for your development. And if tomorrow will be 31st of December 2024, imagine yourself, what kind of competencies you would like to develop, or what achievements you would like to have, right? Or what type of role you would like to play in your team. So step into the powerful you means to challenge yourself day by day and to become a better version of yourself, a better version that you were yesterday. I will tell you what does it mean for me, and I will share a little bit from my personal stories, from my paradoxes. So I was a shy kid. I didn't like to stay in front. And for many years, as a professional in the corporate field, I didn't like to stay in front and to present about my team results or to be a voice, right? And I realized that not having a voice at one point, I lost many opportunities. And when I realized that, I decided to do an extra effort and to fight with my inner saboteurs, and to do that step and to stay in front of others and to speak in public or to share from my team's results or experience. Today I stay in front of you having more than 5,000 hours of ways to defeat my public speaking anxiety. And more than that, I implemented the first public speaking school in Romania because I wanted to give other professionals a voice, because there are so many experts which are reluctant to come in front and to share their stories. But we learn through the powerful stories, right? We need them to inspire the new generation of managers, leaders, or professionals. So, another paradox. When I joined Oracle, they said, you know, you won't have too much chances to access a senior leadership role coming from Eastern Europe, they said. And I look at them and I did what I did my best. I generated results together with my family, my team, and we were able to build a business, you know, from 117 millions in 2 years, we reached 1 billion, and then in 6 years, we reached 2 billions, having, you know, entrepreneurial initiatives in China, India, and Romania. And at one point, I was promoted as the first Romanian vice president in that company. And I'm not saying this for my ego. I'm saying this because I managed to prove to other Romanian professionals that they can have global roles and they can think beyond the border of our country or the regional, beyond our regional borders. So it was another paradox. In my 40s, I decided to become an entrepreneur, and I said, okay, I will become an entrepreneur in education. And what they said, you know, all these voices who are saying you can't do it, right? They said, oh, it's impossible. It's impossible in your 40s to reinvent yourself. But here I am 11 years after, you know, still delivering value to my customers. So it is possible. I still remember at one point they said, oh, it's impossible to do a startup in India in only 5 months. And we did it with a Romanian team with an average age of 26. So it was possible. So don't listen to the voices who will tell you you can't do it, right? Listen to your inner voice and surround yourself by advocates, people who believe in your force, right? And just do it. So what I've learned is that every time I stay there in that recipient, I will not progress, right? That is our comfort zone, right? It's warm, it's fine, it's good, but we will not make progresses as professionals. So every time I went out of that recipient, you know, I might be hurt, I might fail, doesn't matter, but I know that I will make progresses. So, for example, when I teach children in public speaking, they remember that recipient and they're saying, okay, what you've learned today? Oh, do not stay there in that recipient because they will know that they will not make progresses. So remember that. Now, for the young professionals here, for young minds, just a few ideas, maybe you'll find them helpful in your professional development. Many times in coaching professionals from various IT software companies, they have this dilemma, you know, I'm very good in what I do. I am a very good programmer or software engineer and so on. But you know, the company offered me this leadership position and I don't know what to do because I really like to do programming and I don't know if it's good for me, you know, to go on a management path. Have you had this dilemma before? It's hard. My advice is, you know, if you feel that you will do a compromise, then don't do it. Follow your software programming technical path and just be better and better, because career these days doesn't mean only progress on verticals. Career these days means also to accumulate competence on lateral and to become better and better in what you do. Doesn't mean only leadership roles, managerial roles. No, these days it's different. So what can you do to accelerate your progress? First, establish yourself an objective. As I said, you own your development process. As a leader or as a technical specialist, you decide. Second, choose a mentor, right? A mentor will help you in your career journey. You know, it's priceless. How many of the people here are having more than 10 years professional experience? Just raise your hand. Can you stand up, please? Okay. 10 years. Now, for the young people at the beginning of their journey, here are your mentors. Don't lose this opportunity. There is a, thank you very much, there is a lunch break, network, introduce yourself, because otherwise you may lose a big opportunity. Mentoring helped me a lot in my career journey. When I did transitions from middle management to senior management or from corporate to entrepreneurship, you'll always have that professional who failed in similar situations, who has a lot of lessons to share, and it's such a pity to not take advantage of that. Now, if you are working in an organization, look for new ways, to expand your competencies or new ways, to enhance your role. Where you can go, on vertical, on lateral, you will decide, but explore this opportunity and also involve your supporters. You are not alone in this journey. Who can share more information, positive information about you as a professional? How do you connect with these people? Do they recommend you when you need them the most, right? So you are not alone. And of course, what I've learned, and this is a useful lesson, while I was in big organization, I've learned that if I have this capacity to invent roles. So if you see an opportunity and that role doesn't exist, you have the opportunity to create that role. Play that role. Play it. And then the company will formalize it, right? If it doesn't exist, you will invent that role, because you will prove that you can generate more value doing that role, right? So you have this power to invent your own role. And of course, you need visibility and exposure. Be a voice. Don't be shy. Stay in front. Express your ideas. Differentiate yourself. Ask yourself, what makes me different as professional in my market, in my industry? And use that differentiators. So, if you are not used to do networking, this type of event, it's a wonderful opportunity to meet as many professionals as you want, or those that are interesting for your career or leadership acceleration. So I'm wondering, do you know the name of your person from your left and your right today? You know? Maybe it's a good opportunity, to find out that name, right? It's a great opportunity. So for people at the beginning of their careers, but also for experienced professionals, try to approach your networking in a strategic manner. For example, use this type of chart if you think it's useful. In the mid-circle, just put the names of the people who are relevant for your leadership development or your career development, right? Are you connected with them? Do they know you? Do they know your challenges or your projects or your achievements? How you keep them informed? In the second circle, you will find your connectors. Who can introduce you to the people who are most relevant for your career advancement or for your leadership development, for new business opportunities? Keep them informed, right? Offer your support, because in networking there is a golden rule. Before you ask support, you offer your support. And in the first circle, you will put your support system, right? So who will support my efforts? Do I have a mentor? Do I have a coach? Do I have a team, right? So, and learn how to operate with them. There is a book called, written by Keith Ferrazzi, Never Eat Alone, right? So, maybe in your agenda, you'll include at least one lunch with someone from your strategic contacts, just to keep them informed about how are you doing and which is your project progress and so on. And of course, I bet you have a passport, right? But what we don't realize is that we also have a digital passport. We have a digital image. And if your digital image, it's not, let's say, at the same level of professionalism, like when people will meet you face-to-face and will interact with you face-to-face, then you'll have some work to do, right? And you can start with your LinkedIn profile. So if you search by your name on Google right now, you will see that your LinkedIn profile is the first link which will appear. So how would you like to be discovered by other professionals? Because in 2024, the first handshake may take place in Google, not face-to-face, right? So what would you like to be discovered about you, about your achievements in the online environment? And because sometimes you might have managers, and for example, if they are from my generation, X generation, and you are coming from millennials, for example, you might find difficult to work with them, right? You may think that, oh, my boss is impossible, or my manager is impossible. But the reality is that you may need to understand their different communication styles. So for example, if you have a manager or a team project coordinator or a leader who will ask you most of the time about the numbers, about arguments, about the source of information, who will question always your level of expertise, that's an analytical guy or person or lady, right? So you need to feed that person, just to meet their expectations, because this is the way they process information. If you have an intuitive manager, this means that they will look for the biggest picture. They will not like details. They will not like, extended presentations about the topic. They will interrupt you and they will ask you, what's the bottom line? Can you move to the end? I need to see the impact on our strategy. And you will know, okay, so I need to adapt, I need to adjust. But because if you are a functional person in the way you communicate, you'll be tempted to give a lot of details, right? And an intuitive person will get bored, will interrupt you, and you'll feel, not respected or not recognized. A functional person will need to know exactly the steps. We are here in point A, which is responsible, what we will do, which are the tactics, which are the activities, and so on. So many details, right? And a personal communicator is the one who will be interested about your emotions, about how do you feel. It will connect at a personal level with you. So be aware of this and try to imagine now your manager communication style. Have you identified which can be the box or your communication style? We are not staying in one box. We are flexible. We adapt to our customers or to our managers or to our team members just to generate the right outcomes. And if you believe that your boss from manager from Generation X or others, I have a conflict, he doesn't like me, he doesn't recognize me, maybe you need to analyze your own approach to conflicts, right? There is this model, Thomas Kidman model, and he's saying, sometimes we avoid conflicts. I'm wondering how many of you avoid conflicts in their professional lives. In this situation, the objective is to stay out of discomfort, right? You don't like to be in a conflict. What happens, you lose, your manager loses, because he might lose or she might lose a very efficient or very well-prepared professional. Sometimes we like competition. It's like me or not, right? So the objective is to win. You win, the other loses, but in time, it will be an empty circle around you because you'll not be able to build relationships, right? Or in collaboration mode, the objective is participation. So the goal is win-win, right? It's perfect. I win, you win, and we don't feel that we did a compromise, because in compromise, okay, I will each 2 years, right, in order to reach an agreement. Compromise is not seen as a victory or as a way, to handle conflicts. And in accommodation, it's when you give up. You say, okay, it's like you, I lose, you win. But the frustration that you handle there, it's your role. So it's not so good. So win-win, win-win. Not all the conflicts can be solved at once. Maybe we will solve parts of them, right? But be aware of this when you handle your relationship with your team coordinators, managers, leaders. Now, for more experienced professionals, because I've seen that we had a lot also in this room today, I bet that what I always find in your calendar, it's a one-to-one meeting with yourself. A one-to-one meeting with yourself, when from time to time you go into your favorite place, maybe it's a coffee shop or library or your office, and you will ask yourself some critical questions which require an honest answer, right? Like, okay, what makes me different as a professional these days? What do I want to create here, to build here? Which should be my legacy? If my career will have seasons, right? In which season do I am now? I am in spring, I am in summer, I am in autumn, or I am in winter. And if I am in winter, how can I bring back the spring again, right? So it's very important as you do strategic exercises for your companies, for your teams, for your project, to do the same exercise for you as a professional, as a leader from time to time, to do a kind of SWOT analysis where you will put your strengths, okay, what makes me different, which are my strengths, and also your opportunities. Which are my opportunities to expand my knowledge, to expand my level of influence, to expand my network, to partnership for the benefit of the business, and so on. And if I have some development areas identified, then how I will prioritize them? What kind of training or certifications, or how can I overcome my weaknesses if I found some? And Sasha was speaking earlier about procrastination. I have a different opinion about our self-saboteurs, you know, because instead of looking at external threats there, we will look at our internal threats. And yes, procrastination is one of them. But there is a book written by Lisa Leahy. It's called Immunity to Change. And she's saying, what if our self-saboteurs are in fact our friends, right? Because they are produced by our minds, you know, as a measure to protect us against psychological suffering, right? And every time you will say, I can't, or I can't do this, or later, right? Ask yourself one single question. What is protecting my mind? Why I'm saying, in fact, no? It's my fear of failure. It's my fear of being rejected. It's my failure of not being seen as the professional I want to be seen, right? So my advice would be to make a list of your own self-saboteurs, and you can use a lot of online tests, you know, to do that. And make a list, have it in front of you, and befriend them, you know. Notice when you react like this, and ask yourself from time to time, what is protecting my mind, right? So why I'm acting like this, and what is behind my behavior, right? And then you reach the real cause, and you might take some different measures. Now, it's good from time to time to do some reality check, because sometimes I've met leaders who are quite frustrated because they didn't receive more budgets, or didn't access some special projects, or they were not playing number one in negotiating with some customers because the organization seen them differently, not with the label they thought they have, right? So from time to time, check your reputation. What's my reputation today as a leader inside my company or in my market? And how can you do that? I won't discuss now about complicated survey questionnaires and so on. I will just suggest, make a list of people who are relevant for your business or for your activity or for your development. Could be some team members, could be some colleagues, partners, customers, why not? And ask them one single question, right? So what words comes to your mind when you say my name. And write down those words and see what is common. And that's your reputation, because perception is reality. So, McKinsey did a study. They said 77% of leaders believe they motivate their team and generate engagement, while 80% or 82% of employees disagree with that, right? Sometimes we think about ourselves that we are strong leaders or visionary leaders or inspiring leaders, but in fact, when we do a reality check, we might discover the reality, and we need to face that, and we need to cover the gaps and to take the right measures. We may communicate better, or we may take seriously our development plan. So it was a case at Marriott. They've noticed that their customers are becoming older and older, more senior people, and they were worried that they will not be able to attract young people as customers. So what they did, it was to bring more young people in the decision process to check more perspectives. So right now we have so many generations in the workforce, so take advantage and bring them into the decision process, check for new perspectives, because this will help us to be more competitive. And of course, I cannot continue speaking about how we can become better and better as leaders without talking about self-care for leaders. Most of the time, when, especially in the last days post-pandemic, when leaders were asked to design well-being strategies for their team, I always said, you cannot design a well-being strategy for your team if you are not a balanced person, right? If you are suffering, if you are stressed, if you have some emotional issues, right? So what I suggest is from time to time to do kind of emotional push-ups, right? So what does it mean? First, identify the way you can be more relaxed when you are stressed, so find new ways, which works for you. When I ask people in my classes, what will make you relax, they say, well, I walk, or I do sport, or I read a book, or, whatever will work for you. But sometimes we can take some unpleasant remedies, like learning to say no. Learning to say no. Or, designing your non-compromise zone, right? Because if you say yes, and you feel that you have an internal conflict because you broke your compromise zone, then it's not good for you, right? Remember the iceberg and what we feel below the water. So learn how to say no, and learn how to design new boundaries, and initiate difficult conversations. Do not avoid them, because they will create more stress and more frustration, and this will affect you on long term. And it's good also to normalize self-care in our teams. For example, how can you do that? So if you have a meeting with your team, at the beginning, probably it's good, to ask them how they feel. And if we will give some colors to the way we feel, maybe green will be if we are okay, if the workload is fine, and we are optimistic that we will deliver our project in time, and so on. Red will be when the team is overwhelmed, it's really stressed, and it's a red signal for us. And black, it's already burnout. And you should not avoid these discussions, because, they will hit you at one point. So, looking in the future about leadership, there are many theories and books. Keith Ferrazzi, for example, has a book called Leading Without Authority, and he's saying that there are a few trends in leadership. So, co-elevation, it's in our team members' power to rise each other and to support each other and to develop each other. Also, leading with generosity means that every leader should share with generosity his knowledge, his time, and to support his team members on daily basis through mentoring, through coaching. Navigating with empathy, it's important, to look at our team, to share to ask for new perspective, to to prove that we care and we understand their various feelings. Building alliances, it's important more than ever to not work in isolation and to build partnership, internal partnership or external partnership, to accelerate our business objectives. Becoming a citizen leader. I did a mindful leadership program at New York University, and they said, a few years ago, the goal of a business was to make profit. Which is the goal of the business now? Yes, of course, is to make profit, but also to make sure that we contribute to the community well-being. There is this focus on community. We don't act in isolation. For example, today at Limitless, it's the best example. I think it's the first event in Romania which it's kids and family friendly. There are, there are kids there in a room, they are playing while you are enhancing your competencies or learning interesting presentations here. So it's important to stay focused on communities also. Now, in the end, first time when you look in the mirror, ask yourself, right? What kind of professional I would like to be, or what kind of leader I would like to be. There is this prototype building in Thailand, it's called a fingerprint building, and I always like to think that if you are a leader, you have the power to build a legacy. What should be your legacy? And next time, when you will be asked to introduce yourself, because most of the time, people introduce themselves by saying their name and their title, right? Try it without a title. Try it by mentioning the value you generate to your team members, to your customers, to your community. It's a challenge. Can you do that? Thank you.